Hello everyone. In today's Command vs. DCS, we're going to take a look at anti-ship missiles, specifically the AJS-37 Viggens, capable RB15 missile. So what we have here is a pretty standard scenario. We know that there's some kind of hostile ship up in this area. I believe it's an Anuchka class. Actually, I take it back, as a Terran Tool class, way up here somewhere. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to launch an airplane. It's going to be a Viggen out of Batumi. We're going to see if we can locate that ship, then engage it with a pair of RB15 missiles. So as usual, we're going to go ahead and get this guy flying, and we'll do this. So there's a couple things that I want to kind of see in this particular scenario. The first is just how effective the radar on the Viggen apparently is versus what it's like over in DCS, which I think is probably going to be the biggest difference. We're also going to evaluate the ability of the Terran Tool, I should say, the Terran Tool, to defend itself against incoming anti-ship missiles, as well as how effective the RB15 missiles are. Keep in mind, Command likes to keep things a little bit more simpler as far as the engagement of the weapons goes, and approaches it almost from a statistical perspective, as opposed to, a very physical perspective, even though there is that physical piece kind of in there. So in just a moment, I believe we're going to have this aircraft taken off. We'll do the same thing over in DCS. There he goes. So we've immediately detected an electronic contact in this direction. So I'm going to go ahead and order him to head that way. We'll go about 3,000 feet. Cruise is 480. We'll have to remember 480 and do the math later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip on his radar. Notice you've got the little white bar. There's also a yellow bar there. I can disable that feature. So you can actually detect air targets with the Viggen's radar, which I'd be extremely impressed if you were able to actually do in DCS. So anyway, so he's going to proceed. Let's see, still getting signals from him. Of course, what we could do is we could select that, get a contact report, and actually go ahead and check it out. So there's not so many aircraft, or I should say there's not so many ships that have a lot of these capabilities all in the same pile. And if we were very clever, we could know what platforms were available in the area and simply compare the detected things with the known platforms. But in this particular case, we know that it's going to be hostile, but because, obviously we set it up that way. So anyway, we'll continue. We have not yet... Pause. Interesting. So it looks like we've detected our target at a range of 60 nautical miles, which is literally the upper limit of this radar. That is an impressive distance, and we'll have to see just how good that does in DCS itself. So I'm going to go ahead and declare this target hostile. I'm going to go ahead and queue up 2 RB15 missiles. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and re-unpause. Is that a technical term? I think you can just unpause. So we're going to proceed, and as soon as he gets into range, keep in mind we're not getting a lot of information as far as heading or speed, so it's always a little reckless to fire weapons out at this distance. Of course, we could climb a little bit and probably get a better picture, but clearly we can see the guy, so I'm not too concerned. All right, in just a moment, he'll go ahead and engage. Let's see what happens. Missile 1 away. Missile 2 away. RTB. That's it. So now the 2 RB15s are on their way. These are pretty cool missiles because basically you can program in waypoints that they follow, and you'll see that also in DCS. After following the waypoints, they turn on an active radar to kind of do the last part of the engagement itself. So these missiles now have dropped themselves down to about 30 feet above sea level, which is extremely low. I believe this is going to be their turn point. This would be the equivalent of, I guess, the BX6 waypoint. No, this is our turning to waypoint. BX8 is the target waypoint. BX7 is the turn on the radar. So this is the BX6 waypoint right here. So that's going to come zipping in there. Let's speed up time just a little bit. And now when it gets to this point, it should flip on its automatic radar, I should say, its actual radar, active radar, to try to find where that actual ship is. So we'll go ahead and I'll watch it kind of zoom along here. We do have a little bit of intelligence where this guy is on account of the fact that the Viggen is still picking up its electronic emissions. Scooting in here. 600 knots is very fast. Zoom in just a little bit closer. Just a minute. Just a minute. Here it comes. Almost there. And the active radar should be coming on any second now. There's the active radar. We're going to go ahead and cheat real quick by flipping on God's eye view so we can see what the ship is doing. So the ship apparently is kind of turning away, kind of beaming him just a little bit. So the RB15s must have been spotted at this point, and I expect at any moment the Sea-Wiz is going to open fire. The Sea-Wiz on this ship is incredible. It's a lot of bullets it'll spit out at one time. And you'll see that in DCS hopefully as well. So here they come up. There goes the Sea-Wiz. Little Y. Oop, got one of the missiles. Notice he's having trouble targeting that extra missile because he's got to get line of sight in here. Oh! He sunk. All right, let's see what happens in DCS. All right, here we are over in DCS. We have our Vigan ready to go at Batumi. It's 8 o'clock at night, which is about the same time as it was over in Command. We're interested here to see just how effective the RB15 is in game. I know there's a lot of strategies you can use to make the RB15 a more effective weapon, such as doing an offset launch and things along those lines, but we're not going to do any of that because we want to, like I said, a pretty even comparison between the two. So anyway, let's go ahead and get this party going. A lot of people like to take off with 2 notches of afterburner. I'm a fan of using all 3 because this thing, you have to pull the nose up pretty significantly high in order to really get it going. I'm actually going to flip that up a little really here. Alright. Fun fact, I actually took a little bit of Swedish back in my day, and I can just say from experience, it is, whoa, gotta concentrate on what I'm doing, not talking. I can say it's a very, very interesting language. It's very, very complicated, and a lot of what we think of is like, oh, this is the English word for something. It doesn't quite translate the same way that you'd expect it to. So I'm about to cross over the ocean, so I'm actually going to flip my Doppler radar into C mode. Good. All right, let's get going. So in the situation, we had 3,000 feet as our cruise altitude. If you remember, let's go ahead and flip the radar on to normal mode. Get that range all the way out. All the way out. There we go. And now we're going to proceed to our waypoint and see if we're able to acquire that ship, which should be roughly in the same location as it was in Command as well. Go ahead and line ourselves up with our waypoint. Let's get a little bit more altitude. Let's at least get to 1,000 meters. Just kind of cruising here. Whoop. Just about to our first waypoint. Just up to my right just a teeny tiny bit. The Vigan is a very, very unique craft. There's just a lot of really, really cool stuff you can do with it that, like I said, it's just really, really neat. Usually when we do missions like this, we're not going to go all the way up to 1,000 feet, or 1,000 meters, I should say. But in this particular case, I'm going to, just again, to keep the consistency fairly consistent between the two. You can see by looking on our side that we're carrying exactly the same armament that we had over in Command also, with the big fuel tank in the middle, as well as the Sidewinder missiles and the 2 huge RB15s. All right, almost up to 1,000. Go ahead and switch us over to waypoint B2 here. There we go. It's going to get us slightly more on where we need to be. It's about 1,000 meters, just like I wanted it to be. Line ourselves up as best we can, and activate the autopilot. Cool. Let's go ahead and take a look at our airspeed. Airspeed's pretty good. Launch conditions are good. We're going to go ahead and dial this sucker in to launch 2 separate weapons. We're going to go ahead and dial in everything once we're able to locate our actual target. So, what are we looking for here? We are looking for a radar contact. If you remember in Command, as soon as we hit him about 60 nautical miles away, that's going to be about 105, 110, something like that, that we literally saw him and kind of did the deed right away. I've got a theory that our target might be this guy over here somewhere, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's fix up the radar settings a little bit and see maybe if we can spot him a little bit earlier. I can never find this button when I need it. There we go. Let me switch it to linear mode instead of logarithm mode. Alrighty. Well, we can definitely see the coastline pretty clear. No, see, I thought it was that, but it keeps disappearing when it goes by again. I can't be yet. Wait a minute. See this right here? That is the distinctive shape of something that's attempting to jam us. Do you see it? That little black line that just seems a little weird. Ooh, we had it a second ago. We need that shadow again. Oh, I'm almost willing to put money on the fact that that's him right there. So let's go ahead and pause the simulation. He looks like he is to us... If I'm assuming correctly, he's about right here, which would be about 347. Let's go ahead and cheat and see if we're able to acquire him at the same exact spot. Don't forget magnetic deviation. 50 nautical miles. I actually think I was right. So let's go ahead and get everything set up. I believe that's our target. Let's do it. So BX8. Slow down just a teeny tiny bit. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to the mode so I can go ahead and define where he is. Let's go ahead and set this up. I always have a little bit of trouble with this joystick. I don't know what it is. That's him right there. So I'm going to go ahead and order it up. So now we have our BX8. That's where our target is expected to be. Let's go ahead and set our BX7. This is where we're going to start looking for our target. Oh, that's a terrible spot for that. Go ahead and bring it up. We're going to start looking for him right here. And then we're going to go ahead and set our BX6, which is when we dive with the missile. And obviously we want to... Actually, that's a pretty good spot for that. I am not complaining at all. I'm going to change it though. Yeah, I hate it when it does that. Where is my crop? There it is. Uh-oh. Don't have time for this. Alright, we're going to do it right there. Alright, we're good to go. Switch back to BX8. BX8 looking pretty good. Switch to attack mode. Make sure we're set to attack over on this side. Take a look at the conditions. We are actually in range right now, so we can actually engage. So I'm going to go ahead and flip off the safety. Fire 1. Fire 2. That's it. Let's get out of here. Radar off. Let's head back to base. That's it. We'll go ahead and crack those missiles in just a second, because now I'm extremely curious to see just how well that strike actually worked compared to what we did earlier. Alright, big old-fashioned air donut. It's pretty good. Let's get out of here. Of course, if I flew a little lower, he wouldn't have been able to track me, but I actually never got a warning of his air search radar. Altitude hold mode on. What's our airspeed? We've got plenty. Alright, let's see how we do. So these guys right now are kind of doing their high altitude mode. They haven't actually hit the BX6 waypoint, which is the moment where they're actually going to descend and start basically racing towards the target. Meanwhile, let's go take a look at our target itself. There's the Molina. Yeah, there he is. He's just sort of chilling. Doesn't look too serious or too concerned with what's going on right now. Alright, let's watch these missiles kind of do their thing. Alright, at any moment these guys are going to dive down. There they go! So remember, they're hitting their dive waypoint. Now they're going to activate their search waypoint and start actually looking around for the ship itself. We'll go ahead and shut off titles there. No, just to make things interesting for us. So you can see he's sitting right there on the left. Okay, these two guys are awfully close to each other. Wow, look at how close to the ground they are. So 30 feet was the magic altitude over in command. So you can see right now they are about 30 feet. Now what I want you to notice is the fact that missiles are not pointing at where the ship is. The reason for that is because the ship is moving. So as a matter of fact, as these guys go, there's a freak chance that he'll actually not be able to acquire him. Any second now he's going to turn towards the target area. And of course our ship buddy is sitting there panicking just a little bit. There he goes! Alright, let's watch what happens. Do you see the missiles? Alright, so if you remember in our command, the missiles basically were, one of them shot down by the Sea-Wiz, the second one cleanly hit him right in the back. I don't see him reacting to the missiles at this given time. Oh! That was bad. So, nice shot. I was actually a little nervous for a second there that the missiles were going to overshoot, but it actually looks like they did a pretty good job. So hopefully that's a cool little lesson there in using anti-ship missiles at the same time as seeing how they work. I think one of the times when I was testing this earlier in command, the chaff actually defeated the missile that the ship launched, but I don't think we actually get a lot of that stuff built into DCS. So anyway, thanks for watching, and if you have any comments or any ideas of anything else you'd like to see me compare, just drop it in the comments. Enjoy!